Listen carefully, because what I'm about to tell you isn't just a story, it's a doorway. And once you hear this, you may never look at your own home or your own destiny the same way again. Dramatic heartbeat sound, slow, distant, echoing. Have you ever felt that life sometimes stands still, as if something in front of you refuses to open? A job that won't come, a relationship that won't heal, a blessing that feels right there, but somehow still out of reach. Why does it feel like that? Let me ask you something strange, something most people never think about. What if the doors in your life aren't just metaphors? What if the doorway you pass through every day holds more spiritual symbolism than you ever imagined? In Islam, the word door isn't just architecture, it's destiny. The Quran speaks of the doors of mercy opening, the doors of Jannah welcoming the believers, and the doors of punishment closing on those who turned away. Doors are thresholds between the life you know and the life waiting for you. Now imagine this. We are at the end of November, a moment that, for many people around the world, feels like a transition, a shift, the closing of one chapter, the trembling promise of another. Throughout history, humans have always sensed power in the turning of time. And in Islam, the greatest transformations often began with the simplest acts, a dua, a step, a gesture of purification. So when someone decides to take Zamzam water, the water that sprung from beneath the feet of baby Ismail, the water the Prophet called blessed, the water that billions drink hoping for healing, clarity and answered prayers, and wipe it across the door of their home, is it superstition or is it a symbol, a declaration, a spiritual signal that says, Ya Allah, open the doors of goodness for me? Before I continue, tell me, do you believe objects can carry spiritual energy? Pause the video. Have you ever felt your home change after a small act of worship? And now, the real question for you. Write in the comments. Has anything strange or unexpectedly positive ever happened to you after a spiritual action? Because what comes next is where this story truly begins. Before starting this video, don't forget to like this video, because it gives us a lot of strength to continue sharing beneficial content. And I invite you to subscribe to our channel and activate the notification bell to stay informed of our next publications on the Islamic faith. Share it with your loved ones and leave a comment to tell me what you think. Thank you and good video. Introduce the cultural ritual. Now let's make something very clear before we go deeper. Cleaning a door with Zamzam water is not an Islamic rule, nor a sunnah, nor a requirement in any madhab. But in many cultures around the world, Muslims sometimes perform symbolic actions to represent purification, renewal, or the desire to invite barakah, blessings, into their homes. These acts are not about magic. They are about intention, emotion, and spiritual symbolism. And the symbolism of Zamzam water is powerful. The Prophet ﷺ said, Zamzam is for whatever it is drunk for. People drink it asking Allah for healing, success, clarity, forgiveness, protection, and guidance. It is water that began with desperation, faith, and divine intervention. The moment when Hajar cried for help and Allah opened a spring beneath her son's feet. This spiritual history gives Zamzam a place in the hearts of billions of Muslims. So when some people today wipe a drop of Zamzam on their door, they don't believe the wood brings blessings. They believe the intention does. The gesture is simply a reminder, a physical sign of a spiritual request. And believe it or not, Thousands of people online have shared small personal stories. Someone placing Zamzam in a room and feeling sudden peace. Someone wiping it on a child's bed and noticing calmer sleep. Someone reciting dua while cleaning their home and feeling the atmosphere shift. Nothing supernatural, nothing guaranteed. Just humans noticing how spiritual acts affect their hearts and homes. Now let me ask you something directly. Would you ever try a symbolic step for Barakah in your home? Tell me in the comments. Because for many people, symbolic acts are just the beginning of spiritual transformation. Deep dive. The meaning of the door in Islamic and spiritual symbolism. A door is one of the simplest objects in a home, yet one of the most powerful symbols in the spiritual world. Because a door is more than wood, metal or paint. It is a threshold. The line between what you know and what you don't know. Between the familiar and the mysterious. Between your current life and the life that could begin the moment you open it. In Islam, doors are not casual images. They appear in the Quran in moments of destiny, judgment, and divine mercy. Allah describes the believers arriving at paradise and the doors of Jannah opening wide for them in Surah Az-Zumar 39:73. This is not just an entrance. It is the ultimate welcome, the final reward, the moment when every hardship dissolves into eternal peace. And the opposite is also mentioned. Doors closing on nations who turned away from guidance. Doors shutting in symbolic finality, showing that every choice has consequences. And every heart has a time when it either opens or closes to the truth. Spiritually, the door of your home represents your inner world. It is where energy enters and leaves. It is where protection begins and where the unseen passes by night and day. It is the first boundary you cross each morning and the last one you close each night. And that is why, across cultures and generations, humans have always performed reset rituals at thresholds, moments of cleansing, renewing intention, and symbolically asking for a fresh start. Psychologists say that humans instinctively attach meaning to transitions. We clean before guests come. We reorganize before a new year. We open windows to refresh the air. These actions might be physical, but the transformation is internal. A ritual gives the heart a signal. It's time to change. It's time to open a new chapter. So when someone touches their door with Zamzam water, the act isn't about superstition. It's about sending a message to themselves and to Allah. I am ready for something new. Let the doors of good open for me. If you're still watching, type "I'm ready" in the comments. And tell me, what does your door symbolize to you? Real Quranic stories of Barakah, purification and transformation. To understand why a small symbolic act can carry so much emotional and spiritual weight, you must look at how Allah tells stories in the Quran. Again and again, He shows us that massive transformations often begin with the smallest steps, taken with pure sincerity. Let's start with the story behind Zamzam itself. Hajar stood alone in the desert, holding baby Ismail, with nothing but sand and silence stretching in every direction. She ran between Safa and Marwa, not once, but 7 times. Not because she knew a miracle was coming, but because she refused to give up hope in Allah. And then, from the ground beneath her child's feet, Allah made water burst forth. Not just any water, the water that would become Zamzam, a source of Barakah for billions until the end of time. What was her miracle made of? Not armies, not wealth, not power. A mother's steps, a heart full of trust, a tiny act, rewarded with an unimaginable door opening. The Prophet later said, Zamzam is for whatever it is drunk for, meaning it responds to intention. It carries the history of hope, surrender, and divine compassion. But the Quran goes further. Remember Musa, at Mount Sinai. Before speaking to Allah, he was told to purify himself, to stand barefoot on sacred ground, to remove every barrier between himself and the presence of the Most Merciful. Purification didn't change Allah, it changed him. It prepared his heart for revelation. Or look at Nuh, AS. After centuries of preaching, after being mocked and rejected, the world did not change through a grand spectacle. It changed when Allah told him to build a ship. One act of obedience, one wooden structure. And through that single action, Allah opened the door to a new beginning for humanity. These stories teach one truth. Great openings often begin with small movements. A gesture of faith, a moment of cleanliness, a whisper of dua, a symbolic act of renewal. So when someone cleans their door with Zamzam water, even symbolically, what they are really doing is echoing a divine pattern. A small act, done with pure intention, can unlock unimaginable doors. Tell me, which Quranic story changed you the most? Comment below. Modern-day stories of symbolic spiritual acts. We live in an age where millions of people share their experiences online. And one of the most fascinating things you'll notice is how often people describe massive emotional or spiritual shifts coming from the smallest, simplest actions. Some talk about keeping a small bottle of Zamzam in their home, not drinking it every day, not using it for anything dramatic, just having it in a special place. And they describe an unexpected calmness settling in the house, arguments softening, a feeling of serenity replacing tension. Not because of superstition, but because every time they see that bottle, they remember Allah. And remembrance changes atmospheres. Others share stories of doing consistent dhikr during stressful periods. A few minutes of Subhanallah, Alhamdulillah, Allahu Akbar before sleeping. And noticing family conflicts slowly dissolve, hearts soften, or long-standing bitterness begin to heal. A small act, a huge ripple effect. Some talk about cleaning or reorganizing their space, clearing old things, wiping dust from corners, refreshing their home with intention, and suddenly feeling mental clarity they hadn't experienced in months. Psychologists confirm it. Reorganizing your environment can reorganize your thoughts. And spiritually, cleanliness is half of faith. And then there are the stories of people giving one small sadaqah, one simple meal to someone in need, or one sincere moment of repentance. And within days, they feel openings in their lives they never expected. Not because charity buys blessings, but because Allah loves sincerity. And sincerity transforms destinies. When we put these stories together, modern testimonies, spiritual practices, emotional shifts, tiny acts that unlock big changes, we start to see a pattern. Humans are deeply connected to rituals, symbols, and actions that reflect their inner transformation. And often, the smallest gesture becomes the key to opening a much greater door. Now let me ask you directly. Have you ever done something small but felt a huge shift afterward? Share your experience in the comments. Your story may inspire someone. The technique. Ritual description, symbolic only. Before explaining anything, let's repeat this clearly and respectfully. This practice is symbolic. It is cultural. It is not an Islamic obligation, not a sunnah, and not something required by any scholar. Some people do it because symbolic acts help them express intention. Nothing more, nothing less. If someone chooses to do it, the real power is not in the water, the wood, or the ritual. The real power is in the heart, the dua, and the sincerity behind the act. Here is how people typically perform this symbolic gesture. Step 1. Clean the door physically. A clean space reflects a clean intention. Removing dust and dirt is itself a form of renewal. Step 2. Place a few drops of Zamzam on a clean cloth, not to activate anything magical, simply as a reminder of its spiritual history, its connection to Hajar's trust and Allah's mercy. Step 3. Wipe the edges or center of the door gently. Not as a rule, but as a symbolic act of saying, Ya Allah, just as I clean this door, cleanse my life of difficulty. Step 4. Make dua. This is the real moment. You can recite Surah Al-Fatiha, Ayat Al-Kursi, or simply speak from your heart. Ya Allah, open the doors of goodness for me. Fill my home with barakah, tranquility, and protection. Some people also take a moment to breathe deeply, reset their intentions, and imagine their home filling with light and peace. This mental and spiritual alignment is what truly shifts the atmosphere. Because remember, it is the dua, not the water on the door, that brings blessing. Allah responds to sincerity, not rituals. Now it's your turn to reflect. If you tried this symbolic ritual, what would you ask Allah for first? Tell me in the comments your dua for 2025. Psychological and spiritual explanation. Why do symbolic rituals, even the simplest ones, feel so powerful for human beings? Psychologists say it clearly. Rituals ground us. They create a moment where the mind, the heart, and the body all move in the same direction. They give the brain a sense of control, clarity, and purpose during times of uncertainty. But in spirituality, especially in Islam, it goes even deeper. In Islam, everything begins with niyyah, intention. The Prophet said, actions are judged by intentions. Meaning, the physical act is only the outer shell. The intention is the real heart of the action. A simple gesture can become powerful when the heart behind it is sincere, humble, and connected to Allah. And this brings us to the concept of barakah. Barakah is not just blessings. It is a divine increase. It is ease where others struggle, light where others feel lost, openings where others find closed doors. Barakah is a spiritual reality, something Allah places in moments, objects, people, and decisions. And it is often attracted through sincerity, gratitude, purification, and remembrance. So when a person cleans their door, makes dua, or uses Zamzam symbolically, it isn't the physical act that changes their destiny. It's the alignment of intention. The heart saying, Ya Allah, I'm ready for a new chapter. And why do transitions, like the end of a month or the end of a year, feel so spiritually intense? Because humans naturally see them as thresholds, moments where we close the past and open the future. Moments where we evaluate, reset, hope, and dream again. These transitions make us more receptive to reflection, change, and spiritual recalibration. A symbolic ritual at such a time amplifies that emotional shift. It becomes a signal to the soul. Prepare, transform, begin again. Now, I want to ask you something important. Do you believe intentions can change your destiny? Write Barakah in the comments if you want abundance in your life. The huge emotional crescendo. Now imagine this scene with your heart, not just your eyes. You stand in front of your door, the same door you've passed through thousands of times without thinking. But tonight, it feels different. Tonight, it feels alive. As if it's holding all the stories of your past, all the struggles you've survived, all the prayers you whispered in the dark when no one else was listening. For a moment, imagine that door glowing softly, not with physical light, but with the weight of everything you hope for. Every dream you buried, every blessing you are waiting for, every part of you that whispers, Ya Allah, I want a new beginning. Because deep inside, every human being carries the same longing. A chance to start over, a chance to step into something better, a chance to see a door open that was once locked. And this is where the emotion hits the heart. Allah is the one who opens doors that no human could ever open. He is the one who brings dawn after the darkest night. He is the one who transforms your smallest dua into the greatest miracle of your life. Every moment of hope, every tear, every act of sincerity, nothing is lost with him. So as you imagine that glowing doorway, feel this truth. Your life is not stuck. Your destiny is not frozen. And the things you think are impossible are only impossible for you, not for the one who says be and it is. This symbolic act, cleaning, wiping, renewing, isn't about the door. It's about faith that refuses to die. It's about hope that rises even after being crushed. It's about dua that hasn't been answered yet, but will be when the time is right. It's about gratitude, even when the path feels heavy, because gratitude is what multiplies the light inside your home and inside your chest. And if you're still here, listening, watching, absorbing every word, then this part is for you and only you. If you're still watching, this message was meant for you. Tell me, what door do you want Allah to open for you? Powerful conclusion plus call to action. So in the end, this entire journey leads back to one truth. It was never about the door, or the ritual, or the drops of Zamzam. It was always about you, your intentions, your hope, your faith, your willingness to ask Allah for a new chapter. Because the real power is in the dua you whisper, the sincerity in your heart, and the connection you build with the one who opens every door in this universe. If this video touched you in any way, let it be a reminder. Your story isn't finished. Your destiny can shift with a single sincere moment. And sometimes, the smallest symbolic act becomes the spark that reignites your entire life. Now, I want to hear from you. Share your stories, your experiences, your moments of barakah or transformation. You never know who might need to read them. And if you want more spiritual insights, more Quranic reflections, and more real-life stories of barakah, make sure you follow this journey. For now, say it with me. Comment, open my doors, if you want to be part of this journey. Tell me if you want a part 2 with more Quranic signs and the real-life barakah stories.